York's classic rock, Q1043.
Ken Dash out Q104.3, New York's classic rock. And with me is legendary drummer, musician, and somebody who's a dear friend. You've seen him so many times with Fab Four or with me with Breakfast with the Beatles. Rich Pagano joins us. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the nice words.
Oh, sure. We go back many, many years. And one of
Mhm.
the reasons that Rich is with us, even though it's a big Beatles year, big anniversary and all that, we're talking about a very special event coming to City Winery on January 25th. And it's a night to honor Rich's son, Nick, and his journey. Rich, if you could tell the story about Nick's life.
Sure, sure. Our son, Nicholas, for 5 years was in the throes of a substance use disorder from 15 through 20. It was a very difficult road of us traveling around the country, either getting him off the street, into treatment, into a sober living situation. And fortunately, January of 2021, Nick decided he needed to change his life and remained sober for 6 months. Was doing great living up in the New England area at his sober living facility. Um, Decided to move to New Haven, Connecticut. He said he wanted to go back to school and get his license as a social worker, specializing in intake at treatment centers for the LGBTQIA plus community. Nick was gay. Nick was a triple threat: an actor, singer, dancer. Uh, he ruled the room. He had a big personality, loved by many, and just real charming and lots of charisma. And when he was sober and recovering, he would be a welcoming entity. He would be the kid at the door, for all the kids coming in to the treatment center, usually a 30-day program, but especially the kids in the LGBTQ community, where Nick would be there saying, "We are in this together. Come on in. I did it. You could do it." His two entities remembered this about Nick: Karen Treatment Center in Pennsylvania and Release Recovery in Yorktown Heights. When Nick died, which was only a 2-day spiral after being, from what I could see, in a very healthy period, but self-doubt and, of course, self-hatred took its toll on him. Fentanyl poisoning, which, as you know, is taking a whole generation from us. But these two entities I just mentioned, Karen and Release, said, "We remember this about Nick being a welcoming entity. We'd like to start a foundation in his name." My wife, Karen, and I were on board immediately. And that started a campaign and actually a program out in Karen Treatment in Warnersville, Pennsylvania. That's sort of a one of a kind, in that it's about inclusion, it's about information. The parent weekends are incredible, just to help parents to understand exactly the coexisting conditions, whether it be mental illness and a substance use disorder, for the LGBTQIA plus community. It's also a safe haven out at the facility. It's a beautiful place, and they're always raising money for that program. And I asked what I can do, and I know how to put on shows. I know how to corral my New York friends, and we're in our second annual Nick Pagano LGBTQIA plus scholarship for substance use recovery event at City Winery on January 25th, next Thursday, or this Thursday. And we have an amazing lineup of artists. Shall I mention them?
So here's the thing. It was an honor for me to be
So,
part of it last year, for you to ask me to do it. And the thing about this is, you've heard this story of this beautiful life cut way too short, but this concert that you'll see is a celebration of life. It's joy, as opposed to, an evening of tears. It's an evening of heartfelt beauty and hope and music. And something that Rich always said: it's January, it's cold, it's a little snowy. You have to do a special show to get people out of their house to come to City Winery on the West Side. So please, guest list.
well, and you beat me to it. nobody can keep the flow of a show going like the great Ken Dashow, my good friend. No, and having you up there and corralling the artists to get on stage
That's the hardest part. The
yeah,
hardest part is the backstage part going, excuse me,
yeah.
I'm going to introduce you in 10 seconds. You'll finish this conversation later.
Yeah, yeah, and also you're so commanding, and the way you bring it to, the love in the room, and then bring it back to the artists. I mean, you're just as important as any of the artists in the
Thank
show,
you.
as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, and like you said, it is January. It's cold. There are lots of options. It's a higher ticket price because every table, if you put four tables together, we can then create one scholarship out of those four tables. But this year we have returning. I'm trying to make every year be and not rest on my laurels, so to speak, and have every year be super special with new guests. But we have returning because she was so helpful last year and her energy was so wonderful. The great Kate Pearson, but from the B-52s. My good friend Willie Nile is coming back. Willie knew Nick. I have some wonderful photos of Willie and Nick in the apartment on a birthday, in a birthday party. John Sebastian, Love and Spoonful, incredible solo artist. Jenny Moldar, a really great singer-songwriter. Well, I mean, a lot of people know of Jenny, great blues singer and a great friend. Joseph Arthur,
Yeah.
New York singer-songwriter, and one of the best lyricists out there. My good friend Jimmy Vivino from the Fab Four and Prisoners of Second Avenue and the Jimmy Vivino band that we're playing with currently. We're actually recording Jimmy's record, and as we speak, his new blues record. Martha Redbone, really wonderful sort of rock and soul singer with strong convictions for civil rights and gay rights. And she's an incredible woman to sit and talk to about the current state of affairs. And she's a great singer. Jorma Kalkinen. Jorma said yes immediately. And Jorma's got a couple of surprises in store for us because he's so generous. My friend David Johansen, coming off of the Scorsese documentary and everything else he's doing, he'll be there. He's got a wonderful segment that he's putting together for us. Todd Almond, who is a singer-songwriter, and although he's known in the LGBTQ community, he's universal. I mean, he's just an incredible singer and performer. Betty, those three women who are just so entertaining, will be with us. Ricky Bird, our friend Ricky Bird from Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Ricky's going to do a whole bunch of stuff with us. And Elaine Caswell. Most people know Elaine as a backing vocalist that you'll see on Saturday Night Live or award shows. And, she's a great sort of backing vocal music director. But Elaine is an artist. And Elaine, when she comes out front and sings, I just felt, you got to come out this year and sing for us. Scott Sherrard, who you may know from Little Feat, incredible guitarist. And we had a band last year representing the Latino communities called Salsa. Really great band. The whole band can't make it this year, but two of the main players will be there representing Washington Heights, thankfully. And then myself, I'm actually going to perform with the band too.
And you're kind of the house band, right? You're playing drums and kind of keeping the whole thing rolling along.
I'm the musical direct and band lead, yeah. So right now we're in the trenches of writing charts and creating arrangements, and it's nonstop till show day. But I love MDing a show.
And so this is all of these artists are going to be at City Winery on the Thursday on the 25th of January, and I'll be there. And please come if you're looking for a show to go to. That's going to be fun where you walk out of there like 5 feet off the ground, just smiling. Even if you don't know half of these artists who don't know what they do, if you trust our sensibilities, if you know the music I like, if you know the music that Rich likes, that we're in that same camp, it's such a joyous night. And there's so many great causes. And like this, I do love rocks every year. But the causes I like the most that are specific are like ending hatred is a wonderful cause, but what is the practical usage of it? How do you apply that? This is specific. This is treatment and recovery for people who don't fit into a regular sort of treatment recovery program. If you're LGBTQA, if you're not straight, if you're not white, if you're not, you can feel intimidated being in a room of lots of straight white people. And whatever it is, if this is a place where specifically you are welcomed and you don't feel weird or being put in the corner, and that means the world to me.
You know, you brought up a bunch of wonderful points there, especially that you know, especially in the minority community, there's a 20% rise above the Caucasian community in deaths, mainly due to fentanyl poisoning in New York. That's why I really want all facets of the listening audience to feel satisfied by covering with rock and roll, by covering with Latin music, by covering with artists that you might even see at the Duplex downtown on 7th Avenue.
Right.
It's an incredible mix, but we really need to represent everybody, but especially reaching out to the minority community, because if you're a trans, my son even, I'll tell you one quick story. When Nick and I and Karen were having lunch in June of 2021, he was healthy. He was talking about moving ahead and going to school, like I said, getting his social worker's license. He then brought it to the plight of the transgender and how even in the gay community, the transgender, in his opinion, gets little respect. And he wanted to specialize in intake, especially for that part of the acronym. And a lot has changed in the last year. You know, we don't have to get into specifics, but the transgender community has been so pounced on. And those are the kids that usually tell their parents, no way, I'm not going to treatment. I'll get beat up. I'll be ostracized. And they tend to run away when a service comes in to do transport, if it's too much for the parents. A professional transport service that talks to the young adult, tells them the benefits of treatment, they usually bolt. My son, although he wasn't transgender, my son bolted when we initially told him that we can't get you there, but someone else can. He runs to the street. He eventually chose treatment. In the transgender community and a lot of other people in the LGBTQ community, they are so afraid of how they're going to be perceived. This program out in Pennsylvania, the Nick Pagano LGBTQIA plus scholarship, spends a lot of time educating people on exactly that. We need to not ostracize. We need to not make these kids feel that they are different. It's a disease. It's nothing more than a disease. And the stigma needs to be diluted.
Amen to that. So to get your tickets, you can go to the City Winery website. City Winery has it up. And Rich, what about on your pages, on your social media, Rich Pagano?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and I'm posting every day as we confirm more artists, creating graphics. But like you said, the City Winery site, the New York specific page, which is easy to find. You'll see the show has a title. It's called Songs of Deep Emotion and Bright Light, because I'm asking every artist to bring in 2 songs, one that is maybe a bit dark and plaintive, and the other one uplifting. Although there are no rules. Some artists are just going to rock out for 2 songs. Other artists are going to get wonderfully sensitive. So citywinery.com. If you'd like to donate, if you can't make it, releaserecoveryfoundation.org, and then go to the scholarships drop down. You'll see LGBTQ in Nick's name. So that's releaserecoveryfoundation.org. If you'd like to donate. We're trying to actually get more sponsors to cover drum sets and guitar amps and monitors and things like that, so that all the money goes to the scholarship, creating scholarships.
Awesome. It's a beautiful night. It's an uplifting night. Rich, I'll see you at City Winery Thursday night, and I hope I get to see all of you there too. City Winery, if you've never been on the Hudson, one of the most beautiful venues you've ever seen. You're going to absolutely love it. Hope to meet everybody there. Rich, continue on. We will beetle in the near future, I'm sure, somewhere along the way.
Oh, I'd love to talk to you about and geek about those details that you and I were talking about as we were getting microphone levels before.
Yes. We go down into the nerd hole. That's what we do. We should do a talk about, like going what do we call it? The scrubbing the details, getting into the wires, like, and just go through every single detail of it. And
Oh, with you, I'm in, man. I'm in.
Beetle Nerd Podcast. I love it. Rich Pagano, thanks so much. The benefit in honor of his son, Nick Pagano, City Winery Thursday. Join us. We'll see you there.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.